How are we doing, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. We're doing another episode now of Let's Talk About. Concluding our Morbid Angel Let's Talk About episode. We're going to be carrying on with the series. Next up, we've got Hate Eternal, but first we need to stop and talk about the almighty Ripping Corpse. There's not that much to cover. They only ever really did one album. There was a one and done, as they call it. But there's still quite a bit to cover, actually. There's a few hidden details in there. And there's a few bits and bobs to cover on the way before and after. But yeah, Ripping Corpse, fantastic band. Really, they really should have been a lot bigger. It wasn't their fault. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, formed in 1987. The band got together and basically just relentlessly practiced and put together 3 different demos before releasing their debut album, Dreaming with the Dead, in 1991, which we are looking into here. This is one of the most underrated albums. It really is. I've got a new microphone, by the way, and I'm constantly moving around it. So I'm getting used to it just being there. Because I've been doing quite a few videos recently that without one. But yeah, what's so good about this as well is everyone's gone on to do a number of different projects as well. So we've got Dim Muck, Hate Eternal, obviously, and Morbid Angel with Eric Rutan. Speed Kill Hate, one of the members in Burnt by the Sun for a little bit. And one of them is even working with Corey Kohler. I can't remember the guy's name now, from Living Colour. So everyone is still, rocking around and doing different things. But yeah, nothing came, this is a real moment in time that was captured on this album. And there's so much going on with it and just so much potential the band had. So yeah, if you've not heard the band, I mean, they've kind of got a bit more of a following in recent years. I think with the internet's massively benefited the band. And obviously with what Eric's doing with Hate Eternal and whatnot, and people are learning their history and reaching back and looking into a lot of, especially as well with this reissue culture that we've had in recent years with metal. People were looking for underrated gems, so the band's bigger now than ever. And you only have to go on eBay and getting hold of a Ripping Corpse t-shirt is easier than getting hold of some Iron Maiden t-shirt. So I've said this before, I know, but if this is your first video, I've really got a soft spot for bands that sort of just tread that thin line between thrash metal and death metal. It's and normally those bands where they were they were the heavier end of thrash, but death metal wasn't maybe fully formed at that point, or some bands just they were neither here nor there and could tour with both. And no one sounded more unique than Ripping Corpse, and they kind of had that. It wasn't really technical, but it was very chaotic and very fast and very frantic. Technical, you think Atheist and bands like that, Widdly Widdly and all over the fretboard. It weren't like that. There was very good, precise thrashing riffs, and it just edged on that, just edged into that death metal zone. And I would have thought they would have carried on. There would have been a bit more death metal as they went on if they'd carried on, just like a band like, say, Malevolent Creation or something like that, or even the first Cannibal Corpse album for that matter. But and I think as well, one defining sort of aspect of them is Scott Roof's vocals. He's just got no one sounds like him, and he sounds like no one. He just has this snarl, and that's the thing as well. You've got this swinging between death metal and thrash metal, but then you've got this. Scott reminds me of a hardcore frontman. I mean, you can understand everything he says, and again, he just kind of, it just has this unique voice, and he just kind of tells a story rather than just, giving a deep growl or thing. He does some piercing screams on this. We'll come to that later, but. In a song like Sweetness, where he's just like, the sweetness, and, the anti-god, Cthulhu, But I suppose it was he's got more in common with John Tardy from Obituary. He doesn't sound like him, but you kind of get what I mean with that. But yeah, fantastic album. Where shall I start? Really, I guess we'll. Funny enough, the odd thing about this album, and it's only the only criticism I do have of it, is they open with its poorest track. It's Sweetness. It's I suppose I don't know where I would put it in the album. I kind of guess it has to go somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. If you'd never heard this album before, I'd say skip Sweetness and go straight into the second track, and then go back to Sweetness later when you listen to it on subsequent listens, because I don't know. There's just, I think an opening track should kind of give you an idea of what you're in for, and it doesn't. Sweetness simply doesn't do that. There's so much going on this album, and funny enough, the real gems and the real highlights of the album are further into the album, so sort of halfway through and then at the end. But that's not to say it's a bad song. Don't get me wrong. Sweetness is a cool song, and yeah, the when he does that kind of King Diamond-y scream as well, that the most foul sweetness. You know, it's a fun song. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I always find it a bit of an odd one to open with. But yeah, kicking in with "Dreaming with the Dead," the title track. This song is like 1 minute and 45 seconds, and this isn't like grindcore in any way. It's just the songs just don't mess about. I mean, we've got 12 songs on this album, and I don't think any of them. Well, let me quick look. Yeah, one song out of the 12 songs goes over the 4-minute mark. So I think in total the album is 35 minutes. So yeah, there's just not an ounce of fat on it. There's just no messing about. Not even 35 minutes, 34. So, but yeah, Sweetness kicks things off nicely, and then you got a real fast, frantic "Dreaming with the Dead." But even that has like a it goes into like a slow sort of breakdown riff, which builds back up with a nice little slow solo over the top. Anti-God is a really good track. The all about Claturu. Try that again, shall we? Claturu. There you go. Yeah, Claturu, the anti-God. And that's one song as well, when it kind of breaks down a little bit, and then when it kicks back in, Scott does this fucking piercing, high-pitched scream. And yeah, just a really good, thrashing, catchy song, really. Glorious Depravity. This is when it comes into my favourite. My favourite part of the album now is sort of halfway through, and then going towards the end. And Glorious Depravity, that's another track as well. It's not even 2 minutes long, and there's quite a bit of. What's nice to see is there's quite a bit of live material from the band available on YouTube. A lot of like camcorder footage and things like that. But a lot of it sounds really good and looks really good as well, considering how old it is. And I managed to see one show the other day, which was sort of from the side of the stage, and the band were fucking amazing. They were so tight, and even hearing the songs from this album, they sound exactly how they sound on this album, and it's just testament of that time and period of music when. It's just a great debut album because it's the result of a band that's just relentlessly practicing. Now, I've got an interview here. If you want to read up further on the band, actually, I was going to tell you this at the end, but because it's come up, if you check out this issue of Decibel magazine, Ripping Corpse gets entered into the Decibel Hall of Fame. If you're not familiar with Decibel magazine, they do that every article. They enter a band into their Hall of Fame and then do a write-up on the album. Not a band in the Hall of Fame, an album into the Hall of Fame. And they interview everyone in the band who made that particular album. And yeah, this is a really good in-depth interview. This has basically been my frame of reference when I was looking into this. And yeah, they practiced like 3-4 times a week, or just constantly whenever they had any spare time, really. So, and they had about 30-40 songs written. They reckon they wouldn't have needed to write anything new. They would have had when they signed their deal and recorded this, they had 3 albums worth of material. So yeah, and there's a few bits and bobs as well. I'll get into the music and then because I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. But yeah, Glorious Depravity is the set opener of that live show that I watched, and yeah, that riff is just an earring of that, and then it kicks in with this groove, and everything is just perfectly balanced because everything is fast and frantic 1 minute, you know, and then they just go into this groove like they slow half time, but then there's some beautiful melodies in there as well. There's like some fantastic solo work, and Beyond Humanity is another highlight for me. It just breaks into this slow, sludgy section halfway through, leading into like this melodic riff. It's really good, and then it slowly speeds up in tempo. So it kind of just starts off in this slow thing, and then just bit by bit, just gradually gets faster and faster, and it sort of builds up into this fast section. So the riff then goes in the thing, but then there's this really haunting riff going over the top of it, like, and then it just brings the whole song into this climax. But it's fantastic. Through the Skin is another highlight. The riff in that, I think it's the one that goes dun, 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 dun. But if it is that one, but that reminds me of Morbid Angel, and it's funny because Eric Rutan went on to join Morbid Angel, but he doesn't write hardly anything on this. I was just looking through the CD, and it's Sean Kelly that wrote all the music, with Scott Roof doing the vocals. Eric Rutan gets writing credits on one song. So, yeah, that's interesting, because considering that if this is the stuff that Sean was writing, you'd think Morbid Angel would have snapped him up, but who knows what went on. But which was the one that he did write? Just while I'm looking this up. Oh, right. Well, Through the Skin is the one that Eric wrote, so maybe it is the Morbid Angel style one. But yeah, fantastic riff, and it's got that sort of slow, sort of sludgy, just, you know, the way Morbid Angel riffs go, just that otherworldly, you know, it's hard to describe, but yeah, stuff like this shows that the band had a bit more to them, because up front, the beginning of the album, you think that you get what the band are all about, which is like a mixture of thrash metal version on death metal with a bit of a hardcore aesthetic, and it's all pretty basic and pretty thing, but no, much more to them. And tracks like that, like Through the Skin and Beyond Humanity, show that off. Rifted Hate as well was nice and fast and frantic, but then just slows right down, and again, very Morbid Angel. Sickness of Will, is that what it's called? Yeah, Sickness of Will. Like I say, with the hardcore thing, that has actually like some hardcore chants, you know, the way like in hardcore songs they sing along, that has that in it. Seduction of the Innocent, the closing track. Chugging Puss is another great song as well, but Seduction of the Innocent reminded me of Monstrosity. And when did Monstrosity put their first album out? No, it must have been before then. Yeah, but the riff on that, it reminds me of Angel's Venom. You know, like that dun 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 dun. But it's played, you know, it's kind of off timing and gallopy. Bit like what's the other band? The other track they did on the 5th album. Dun 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 dun. You know that, but yeah, that kind of just slightly off timing riff. The Monstrosity would go on to do that, and yeah, they start out with this on the closing track, Seduction of the Innocent. Now, this is pretty easy to get hold of. I think it is anyway. I mean, I bought this on Amazon. I actually lost my copy, couldn't find it anywhere. Bought another copy on Amazon, and then found the fucking thing. So I think I gave it to a mate that didn't have it. But yeah, I've had it quite a while now, so I've not actually had any trouble getting hold of a copy of it. But if you want to check it out, obviously it's on YouTube, but there's I'm going to put a link in the description to the band's bandcamp page, because they're free demos, and this album is on there, free to download. But what's really good is that this version of the album has been remixed by Jared Pritchard of Eulogy fame and is it Pulchra Morte? Pulchra Morte? It's like a Paradise Lost, early Paradise Lost sort of doom, sort of death metal melodic doom band. But he's also a really in-demand sound engineer and producer. So he's done a couple of albums for 1349 and Goat Whore. Shit hot guy. I'm going to try and get him on the show, actually. I did speak to him previously about doing an interview a while back, and he was up for it, and I just never followed it up because I'm a dickhead. But yeah, I'd have to try and get him on. But anyway, the album that you can download on Bandcamp is this remixed by Jared. So that's worth checking out. And he put out a really nice Facebook post, actually, saying how happy he was to be able to do it and how Ripping Corpse were... Well, this is one of his favourite albums of all time. And he kind of drives the point home. When this band were gigging, no band could touch them. They were absolutely tight as fuck, and yeah, anyone who gigs with them, they blew them off stage. Quite frankly, apparently they never toured. They would do like short stints, maybe like 4 or 5 day stints, but they did support a lot of people. They had supported Entombed, did a bunch of gigs with Morbid Angel, obviously, supported Revenant, did a couple of gigs with Nuclear Assault as well. Apparently they gigged relentlessly, but unfortunately never actually did a full on tour. Oh, and that Bandcamp edition that's remixed by Jared Pritchard, that's also comes with a bonus track, Exhumation Day, which isn't on this CD. So that's worth checking out for that alone. Exhumation Day as well is a cool song. It's a nice little extra, nice chuggy riffs. It's just a nice extra to add on, I mean, especially to hear after all this time as well. So, yeah, fantastic album. One thing as well, what happened with the band is that this record label, Craze Records, went bankrupt basically, and it basically stopped the band dead in their tracks. Really, they were, and apparently they've had a lot of trouble reissuing this. Apparently, Relapse wanted to reissue it with like revamped artwork and Exhumation Day on it. I think they wanted to chuck some demo tracks on there as well, but it all got thing because although they went bankrupt and went under, they still technically own it. Yeah, confusing. But yeah, if I give you a close-up of that artwork. Now you see the guy sitting there cross-legged. He's had flesh stripped off him. So he's cutting his own flesh off. So those red lines there are actually flesh missing. And where his legs are crossed, he was meant to be sitting with a load of burning hearts. And these skeletons in the background were meant to be actual corpses, and they'd all have holes where their heart would. So I guess where this shirt, there'd be a hole there. So it'd be a bunch of corpses with holes in their chest with their hearts missing, and then this guy is sitting at the thing with a load of burning hearts. And the label said, no, you can't do that. It's too gory. No one will put it out. So they did this sort of light version. And in that interview, they went, well, look at Cannibal Corpse. So they were kind of ahead of the game in that respect. Apparently, he had to change a couple of lyrics and song titles as well because of they said it was too graphic or whatever. And then again, Cannibal Corpse. So yeah, another balls up by the record labels. Apparently as well, Dreaming of the Dead had a verse and a chorus or an intro or something, and Gene Hoglan said it reminded him of another song. So they stripped it away, and it went down to 1 minute and 45 seconds, which I thought was quite funny. Another thing, so yeah, definitely check out Ripping Corpse. Let's go through the lineup as well and see what the band's, what everyone went on to do. Obviously, Eric Rutan would go on to join Morbid Angel and then go on to form Hate Eternal, which we will talk about coming up. But yeah, the band did kind of carry on, though, in the band Dimmuck, which I've got to show off for you here. So it was Scott Roof, the vocalist, Sean Kelly, the guitarist, and the drummer, I believe. Brandon Thomas did the first album. So that's this one here. Enter the Dragon. This is a really cool band, actually, and they are very good, but they're very different to Ripping Corpse. And then the second album here. I've not got the third album, but I do have this latest. This is their fourth album. But at this point, Sean Kelly's the only original remaining member. So I've not got everything they've done, but I have got these 3 albums. And yeah, these 2 in particular are well worth checking out. But it's all good. But yeah, they're the first to, obviously, to check out first. There's a band picture there as well. And Sean would also go on to join Hate Eternal for one album, the Fury and Flames. We'll get into that in that episode, though. I want to show you this. This is, I forget what this is called, the Glorious Arse-Ripping Demos. So, the 3 demos that they put out beforehand. So you had Death Warmed Over demo in 1987, The Splattered Remains in 1989, and then Glorious Depravity in 1990. I got this on Hell's Headbangers. I don't know if you can still get hold of it, but the 3 demos are available on the Bandcamp page that I'm going to be putting in the description. But we can look at this in the meantime. Cool artwork. You see there as well, that's the that's the covers of the demos there. I guess they would have been put out on cassette. This, by the way, sounds awesome. These sounded really, really good. And you get to see different elements of the band that you might not get on the album. And it's cool hearing demo versions of songs that would come on the album as well. So it's really cool. It's on a green vinyl. And after that, they did an EP or a demo called Industry, which was never actually available. It's everything I've ever seen. It's never like an artwork or anything like that. It's literally a cassette with some, the tracks written down. 3 tracks on there. One of the songs called The Hate Eternal. That was the last thing the band ever recorded, but also on YouTube, I found Ripping Corpse, the Lost album. And that's got the 3 songs, plus a bunch of other demo tracks by the band. That's well worth checking out. And again, in those 3 songs on that demo alone, you can see the band had took a massive step forward in terms of songwriting. And you're just listening to it thinking, fuck, what would have happened if this band, had made another album? I think they originally had a 5-album deal, or 4 albums and a live album, something like that. I mean, the potential was there. The potential was just, it's such a shame that they got fucked by the record label, really, because they could have been fucking massive. I think if Ripping Corpse had carried on and were able to put out a second and then a third album, I think death metal would have looked very different to how it looks today. So, yeah. Anyway, so I'll be checking it. I'll be putting the description to the Bandcamp below. You can get the album, the new remix by Jared, and the demos. And I'll also put in the link description the Lost album, so you can check out that Industry EP and some other demo tracks as well, so you can kind of get an idea of where they were going. But yeah, absolutely fantastic riffs, fantastic drum, just fantastic songs, really. Well ahead of their time, a very unique band, Ripping Corpse. Definitely check them out if you haven't already. And if you have got him, if you've got that CD and you do, well, get it out and listen to it again. Simple as that. So thanks for watching this. I'm not going to leave it so long next time. Life's just got in the way, really. I've been sitting there trying to get round to it, but I've finally got some free time. Yeah, I've really enjoyed. I'm going to be a bit gutted, actually, not listening to this tomorrow, because I'll be moving on to Hate Eternal. But yeah, let's talk about Hate Eternal. It's coming up next, and we're going to get through that pretty soon. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hate asking, but you kind of have to. If you've made it this far, if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Subscribe if you want to, but yeah, if you've enjoyed it, please just give us a little thumbs up. Click on the old like. It really helps the algorithm out. So yeah, thanks a lot. Until next time, lift weights, eat eggs, drink rum, smoke cigars, read the classics, listen to metal. See you later. Nightmare Cabin. Take care, guys.